Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the final lecture, or lecture summary for CRIM 205. This week, talking about the current concerns in the criminal justice system. Very short. Basically, what I wanted you to get out of this lecture are the idea that thus far, our criminal justice system has focused a lot on crime control, and we focus very little on crime prevention. And what I'm saying in the beginning of the slides is that you do have to consider all of those forces that drive people towards criminal behavior, rather than looking at people as just good guys and bad guys. To be quite honest, considering that so many of my students are planning to be police officers, I feel it's my duty to encourage people to not look at the world as so black and white. Hopefully you guys don't look at the world in terms of black and white when it comes to race. But I don't want you to view the world as filled with good guys and bad guys. That's just not, that's incredibly unrealistic. I want you to be able to recognize people as people and the influences that drive them towards criminal behavior. It doesn't negate or justify stupid decisions that some people make, but I just want you to recognize these things, all things considered. So I'm offering two alternative possible things that we will have in the future when it comes to our justice system. The first is peacemaking, and this focuses on reconciliation and recognizing how interconnected we are. So in other words, rather than treating criminals and prisoners as just like pieces of meat and things that we should just store away and throw away, lock up and throw the key, the reality is that, and again, I say this for my corrections class, that 95% of all people that go to prison come back. And should we be shocked if we create monsters? If we're not concerned about the human at all. So the peacemaking perspective is very much focused on trying to rehabilitate the person and bring the person back to a state where they could fit into society again. It's radical. It's a very different perspective, and it probably will never be a very popular perspective at all. But a perspective that exists. Second perspective is restorative justice. Restorative justice should be a little bit easier to understand. It's just a situation where the victim and the offender get to sit down with a mediator and negotiate the offender's punishment. So there's an instance where of restorative justice in England. There's a case of several years back, this man that snatched this woman's purse and he got caught. And rather than go to prison for snatching her purse, they decided to give restorative justice a try. And so the woman got to hear his story. He has a family at home. He had just lost his job. He just went to a job interview. He didn't get the job. He looked down, he saw her purse, and he just out of impulse just took her purse, thinking that he could feed his family for the night. He got to hear her perspective. She's also behind on bills. She can't afford to have her purse taken. She too suffered as a result of this. And so they got to negotiate a punishment which involved him doing a bunch of repairs to the outside of her home, which saved her money and saved him a trip to jail. And so that's kind of the energy of restorative justice. Restorative justice is focused on all right, the example that I love giving in class is if somebody comes and smashes your window on your car and you send that person to jail, great. What did that do for your car? Nothing. Your car's still broken. It would make more sense to make the person pay for the damages to your car. That's restorative justice, restoring things to a previous state instead of just sending people to prison. So that's, again, another radical model. Might not be very popular, but something that could work. So overall, this is what I wanted you to focus on for this week. Your criminal profile papers are due on Thursday the 14th by 5 p.m. Please upload. And yes, that's like a 7-page paper. I would like 3 sections. The crime itself, the background of the offender, their childhood and their schooling and all that stuff, and then your analysis. Use for an A+ paper. Use some theories in class. to explain the person's behavior. This is not a subject paper where you talk about, I'm going to talk about tax fraud. No, but you can talk about tax fraud if you talk about a particular case. You have to think of who. A person has to be spoken about. You can't do that second section unless you're talking about a specific person. So I do want citation throughout. I do want a fourth section of a bibliography at the end of this. I say I require books and articles. All of this stuff can be done online. Of course, you can use multiple internet sources. APA, MLA format doesn't matter to me as long as you're citing the work, as long as I can look at it and then look up that article and then turn to the page that you're saying and see the quote that you're using. Please use quotes as much as you can. When in doubt, if you think you're stealing somebody else's work, put some quotation marks around it and see if you can follow through it in that way. Otherwise, the exam will be on the 21st. The exam is not there now. You'll have to look under assignments. Oh, please go under assignments to look at the directions again for the criminal profile paper. And then also the final exam will be available on May 21st. You have 48 hours to complete it. Please keep an eye out for that. Try to catch up on all the discussion board questions. Any summaries, please, by the 14th. I do not want you sending me a barrage of summaries after the semester ends. Please, we're done on the 21st, okay? We're done. Like, that's it. After, when the 21st passes, there's nothing else I want from you guys, okay? Like, I want the semester to be over. That's about it. All right, guys, thank you. Thank you for a nice semester. I'm not going to be making a video next week, so I thank you for all of your participation in this class. I thank you for dealing with these changes. I really appreciate it. Otherwise, maybe I'll see some of you in a few weeks for summer courses. So, take care. Until then, bye now.